Good morning. Again, welcome you to the Sporting Angels Educational Spectrum. We have been discussing about the forest and wildlife resources. In part 1, we discussed about the categorization of existing species of animals and plants. We also discussed about the vanishing forests. And today we shall start this part with the reasons for the depletion of the flora and fauna, and then of course we shall proceed further. Basically, humans have been the greatest cause, and see, human activities which have affected the depletion of flora and fauna are overutilization of forests, colonial plantation, agricultural expansions, multi-purpose river projects, mining and grazing and fuel wood collection. See, initially we humans, we were satisfied with the minimum resources which we got from the forests. We depended on forests, but our requirements, the human requirements, were not so many as we have expanded them to the present state. We could do with the minimum. Then slowly and steadily, as the time passed, our requirements kept increasing. And during the colonial period, the forests and other resources of India were utilized by the colonial masters to the optimum. They depleted our resources, everything. See, we used to get everything from forests and wildlife, be it wood, barks, leaves, rubber, medicinal, you name a thing, and everything was directly or indirectly coming from the forest and wildlife. But when these colonial masters depleted our forests and wildlife in such a way that they started vanishing, then we got our independence. But the tragic part has been that even after the independence, we have been depleting our resources. See, the survey of the Forest Survey of India says that from 1951 to 1980, 26,200 square kilometer of forest area was converted into agricultural land. This was done after the independence. Not only that, even till today, we have been depleting our resources. That means, should we blame only the colonial forest policies? No. Even the governments, after the independence, as far as India goes, after the independence, we haven't had good policies regarding our forests and wildlife, and that is the reason that they have continued depleting even after independence. See, ironically, we have been using a term enrichment of plantation. But was it really enrichment plantation? Was it really wise? No. To the environmentalists, to the foresters, this term enrichment plantation was used very cleverly, in which a single commercially valuable species was extensively planted, and it was done on the cost of other plants. See, for instance, we talk about teak in southern India. It was a great loss. And let's talk about chirpine in the Himalayas. See, it was planted at the cost of Himalayan oak. So, we haven't been wise enough when we have used this enrichment plantation. We have in fact caused depletion of our resources, our natural resources. Large scale developmental programs have also contributed significantly to the loss. See, I got the opportunity to be with Medhaji during the NBA, and believe me, only the environmentalists and the foresters know how concerning these developmental programs have been. See, when we talk about Narmada Sagar project, governments have been talking about, governments have been praising a lot. But the fact of the matter is 40,000 hectares of forest either has already been inundated or would inundate. That is the cost we are paying for Narmada Sagar project. Take the case of Tehri project and many others for that matter. This is the region we social sciences teachers as well as students, we must make it a point. We should not be studying the forests and wildlife just for the sake of learning these things to produce on a piece of paper during the examination. That doesn't serve any purpose. In fact, we should be revolutionizing these things. People should be educated properly about these things, and we must take care of our environment. We must take care of our forests, our wildlife. Governments have been making claims, but their claims have been to the contrary. The fact of the matter, the Baksa Tiger Reserve in West Bengal, it is seriously being affected. It has been eaten away by the ongoing mining. Not only that, even the animals which used to migrate, the mining has stopped their way. and those animals, especially the elephants, they are unable to migrate because of their way has been cut off. They can't cross over to the other side now. Not only this, because of the buildings of the dams in many of the rivers. Do you know, students, there are some fish which during the period when they migrate to the upper parts of the river to give birth to the young ones. Many foresters and environmentalists hold the view that the greatest degrading factors behind the depletion of forest resources are grazing and fuel wood collection. Though there may be some substance in their argument, yet the fact remains that a substantial part of the fuel fodder demand is met by lopping rather than by felling entire trees. The forest ecosystems are responsible of some of the country's most valuable forest products, minerals and other resources that meet the demands of the rapidly expanding industrial urban economy. These protected areas thus mean different things to different people, and therein lies the fertile ground for conflicts. The Himalayan yew, Taxus wallaceiana, is a medicinal plant found in various parts of Himachal Pradesh and Arunachal Pradesh. A chemical compound called Taxol is extracted from the bark, needles, twigs, and roots of this tree, and it has been successfully used to treat some cancers. The drug is now the biggest selling anti-cancer drug. The drug is now the biggest selling anti-cancer drug in the world. The species is under great threat due to overexploitation. In the last 1 decade, thousands of yew trees have dried up in various parts of Himachal Pradesh and Arunachal Pradesh. Habitat destruction, hunting, poaching, over exploitation, environmental pollution, poisoning, and forest fires are factors which have led to the decline in India's biodiversity. Other important causes of environmental destruction are unequal access, inequitable consumption of resources, and differential sharing of responsibility for environmental well-being. Overpopulation in third world countries is often cited as the cause of environmental degradation. However, an average American consumes 40 times more resources than an average Somalian. Similarly, the richest 5% of Indian society probably cause more ecological damage because of the amount they consume than the poorest 25%. The former shares minimum responsibilities for the environmental well-being. The question is, who is consuming what, from where, and how much? You know, over half of India's natural forests are gone. 1/3 of its wetlands are dried out. 40% of its mangroves wiped out and 70% of the surface water polluted. Can you believe this? Not only this, see, with continued hunting and trade of wild animals and commercially valuable plants, thousands of plants and animal species are heading towards extinction. Protection of forests and wildlife is not just a biological issue. The biological loss is strongly correlated with the loss of cultural diversity. Some losses have increasingly marginalized and impoverished many indigenous and other forest dependent communities who directly depend on various components of the forest and wildlife for food, drink, medicine, culture, spirituality, etc. Within the poor, women are affected more than men. In many societies, women bear the major responsibility of collection of fuel, fodder, water, and other basic subsistence needs. As these resources are depleted, the drudgery of women increases, and sometimes they have to walk for more than 10 kilometers to collect these resources. This causes various health problems for women and negligence of home and children because of increased hours of work, which often has seriously social implications. The indirect impact of degradation, such as severe drought or deforestation, induced floods, etc., also hits the poor the hardest. Poverty in these cases is a direct outcome of environmental destruction. Therefore, forests and wildlife are vital to the quality of life and environment in the subcontinent. It is imperative to adapt to sound forest and wildlife conservation strategies. Conservation in the background of the rapid depletion of resources of the plants and animals has become a very urgent issue. Conservation preserves our ecological diversity and our life support system. See, we can do without many things, but we can't do without air, water, or soil. And this is the reason to conserve our basic things, our basic requirements. We need to conserve the forests, the animal life, right? So, good and efficient practices towards conserving forests and wildlife are, we have taken some good steps. One is national parks, biospheres, and wildlife sanctuaries have been built. Then the Indian Wildlife Protection Act, it came into force. Then it has been amended time to time. Then if we talk about the projects for protecting specific animals, we have started many projects in fact, and we have forest policy intact now, right? See, as far as national parks, biospheres and wildlife sanctuaries goes, to protect the biodiversity of Indian government has established 100 national parks, 515 sanctuaries and 17 biosphere reserves. When we talk about the Indian Wildlife Protection Act, see, it was implemented in 1972 with various provisions for protecting our habitats. This we are talking about the independent India, and if we wish to talk about things before this act was implemented, in 1960s and 70s, conservationists demanded a national wildlife protection program, and to meet their demands, the Indian Wildlife Protection Act was implemented. Apart from this, an All India list of protected species was also published. The thrust of the program was towards protecting the remaining population of certain endangered species by banning hunting, giving legal protection to their habitats and restricting trade in wildlife. When we talk about the projects for protecting specific animals, the central government announced several projects for protecting specific animals which were gravely threatened, and including the tiger, the one-horned rhinoceros, the Kashmir stag, the 3 types of crocodiles, the freshwater crocodile, the saltwater crocodile and ghadial. Tiger. And talking about the forest policy, India is one of the few countries which has a forest policy since 1894. It was revised in 1952 and again in 1988. The main plank of forest policy is protection, conservation and development of forests. Tiger is one of the key wildlife species in the faunal web. In 1973, the authorities realized that the tiger population had dwindled to 1,827 from an estimated 55,000 at the turn of the century. The major threats to tiger population are numerous, such as poaching for trade, shrinking habitat, depletion of prey-based species, growing human population, etc. Trade of tiger skins and the use of their bones in traditional medicines, especially in the Asian countries, left the tiger population on the verge of extinction. Since India and Nepal provide habitat to about two-thirds of the surviving tiger population in world, these two nations became prime targets for poaching and illegal trading. Project Tiger, one of the well-published wildlife campaigns in the world, was launched in 1973. Initially, it showed success as the tiger population went up. 4,002 in 1985 to 4,334 in 1989. But in 1993, the population of the tiger had dropped to 3,600. There were 39 reserves in India covering an area of about 32,137.14 square kilometer. Tiger conservation has been viewed not only as an effort to save an endangered species, but with equal importance as a means of preserving. Corbett National Park in Uttarakhand, Sundarbans National Park in West Bengal, Bandhavgarh National Park in Madhya Pradesh, Sariska Wildlife Sanctuary in Rajasthan, Manas Tiger Reserve in Assam, and Periyar Tiger Reserve in Kerala are some of the tiger reserves of India. The conservation projects are now focusing on biodiversity rather than on a few of its components. There is now a more intensive search for different conservation measures. Increasingly, even insects are beginning to find a place in conservation planning. In the notification under Wildlife Act of 1980 and 1986, several hundred butterflies, moths, beetles, and one dragonfly have been added to the list of protected species. In 1991, for the first time, plants were also added to the list, starting with 6 species. It is an age-old practice, and this belief among some of the tribals had saved many virgin forests. Do you know the Santals, the Mundas, they worship some trees, some plants, and this has saved many trees. See, the Mundas and Santals of Chota Nagpur, they worship Mahua and Kadam. Tribals of Odisha worship tamarind and mango. The famous Chipko movement in the Himalayas has not only successfully resisted deforestation in several areas, but also has shown that community afforestation and indigenous species can be enormously successful. Attempts to revive the traditional conservation methods or developing new methods of ecological farming are now widespread. Farmers and citizens groups like the Beej Bachao Andolan in Tehri and Navdanya have shown that adequate levels of diversified crop production without the use of synthetic chemicals are possible and economically viable. The Narmada Bachao Andolan has fought against the projects. Andolan has fought against the clearing of forests and is still continuing their fight against the Narmada Sagar project and of course the raising of the height of the dam. In India, Joint Forest Management JFM program furnishes a good example for involving local communities in the management and restoration of degraded forests. The program has been in formal existence since 1988 when the state of Odisha passed the first resolution for joint forest management. JFM depends on formation of local village institutions that undertake protection activities mostly on degraded forest land managed by forest department. We conclude this discussion today on the note, on a promise that we shall not be studying this lesson just for the sake of preparing for the examination, but certainly we will inculcate all the habits of preserving our forests, preserving our wildlife, and we will continue to talk to others in the society.